Alright, all you streetlight crusaders, and I guess a couple of you luchador fans out there tonight, welcome back to the Tuesday Night Special. And now it's time for us to talk about what happened during this week's edition of Monday Night Raw from the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. And to kick off this week's edition of Monday Night Raw, we would see none other than another episode of the VIP Lounge where MVP would say, well, last week didn't go how I planned it, so this week we decided to go with more elegance and class and decided to go with the women's side of the Money in the Bank ladder match contenders, at least for Raw, and would bring out none other than Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, and of course Asuka, which all three of them he knew was not going to have any form of elegance and class, especially seeing the fact that Shayna Baszler said that she wasn't going to say anything in the ring and was going to do all her talking during this match that's going to take place this Sunday, and would try to go to Asuka for confirmation for Asuka to just basically say easy peasy, and then basically say something to her in Japanese, only to turn her head right directly towards Nia Jax, who promised to dominate the Money in the Bank ladder match this Sunday, only for the both of them to turn around and kick the ever-living Daylight's flag tag directly out of Nia Jax. And to make matters worse, she would flip out of her chair, over the coffee table, and out of the ring, for the both of them to just taunt Nia Jax while she was outside the ring. And yeah, another successful episode of the VIP Lounge. Thank you, MVP. And after that VIP Lounge, folks, we will go directly into the gauntlet match to claim the last spot on the men's side of the Raw side of the Money in the Bank ladder match. And if you're wondering why in the world this is all going down, well, unfortunately, and I do mean unfortunately, especially for Apollo Crews, who looked like he was gonna win the whole thing, he would get injured during his opportunity match for the United States Championship against one El Idolo Andrade Cien Almas after he would jam his leg and the referee would have no choice but to call the match. So to pick up the pieces from that and the fact that he won't be able to contend in that ladder match this Sunday, they would decide to have a gauntlet match with the first two competitors being none other than Titus O'Neil going one-on-one against the almighty Bobby Lashley. And during this match, Bobby Lashley would truly prove how almighty and dominant he is by not only hitting Titus O'Neil with a spear, then the next competitor coming out being Shelton Benjamin hitting him with a spear, despite Shelton Benjamin doing his dragon whip and even a tiger knee right to the face to one Bobby Lashley, and would do the same thing to Akira Tozawa, picking up 3 victories during this gauntlet match. And when it looked like Bobby Lashley was gonna go home and win this whole thing, the second none other than Humberto Carrillo would come out. Bobby Lashley would lose all control in the corner, trying to stomp him out like a wildfire, and would even push away the ref, causing the ref to have no choice but to disqualify Bobby Lashley, removing him from this contest. Man, and it looked like he was really gonna win the whole thing, and even Lana backstage would say, if I was out there, I could have stopped you. Why didn't you let me come out there? What's wrong? And then all of a sudden, Bobby Lashley would say, not now, not now, for the next opponent for none other than Humberto Carrillo to be none other than Angel Garza, who would be so confident that he was going to win this match, he would not only drop kick Humberto Carrillo in the corner, rip off his pants and throw it in his face, but would pull off, I do believe, a spider swing-like submission hold that I forgot the name of, that comes from the video game of WrestleMania 19. And unfortunately, despite all of his submission holds and even his attempt toward the wing clipper during this match, Humberto Carrillo would find a way, get a roll-up pin, and win this match and surprise surprising fashion via pinfall. And according to the Maestro, he would win this match via a roll-up like they would for a New Legacy Inc. match, or in something that would be for SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. Yeah, similar. And he would pay for it too by getting his head kicked off. And the next opponent to take place in this gauntlet match would be none other than Austin Theory, another associate to none other than Zelina Vega, who was on the outside of the ring trying to keep Austin Theory's anger under control, just like he tried to do for Angel Garza after the frustrating never say die attitude of one Humberto Carrillo during this match. And to prove his never say die attitude, folks, when it looks like Austin Theory was gonna go for a superplex during this match to finally eliminate Humberto Carrillo would turn it around into a small package for him to win this match and beat out Austin Theory during this contest. And the last person to be involved for this gauntlet match for a last opportunity for the Money in the Bank ladder match for this Sunday would be none other than the phenomenal one back from the grave, AJ Styles. And if I'm not mistaken, would wear the same clothes that he wore the night he got buried alive in a Boneyard match, which might as well have been a buried alive match because that's the only way you could lose. But I digress, because AJ Styles will come back in phenomenal form by not only attacking the leg of Humberto Carrillo, but also going after the gut of Humberto Carrillo during this match with that pump handle gut buster, and would even try to slow down the momentum of Humberto Carrillo by even putting him in the calf crusher, which would work because Humberto Carrillo would tap out during this said match, giving AJ Styles the final spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match via submission. And after the match was over, AJ Styles says, "Yes, I'm back. I'm not a zombie. None of you out there seen the things I've seen and been through the things I've been through. And even though Undertaker tried to take my spotlight, I'm still here. And at Money in the Bank this Sunday, I'm going to do anything and everything to grab that briefcase and make it phenomenal." And would even say that he was going to plan on throwing one or two of the competitors off the roof of WWE headquarters to get that briefcase, which Aleister Black later on that night would have a rebuttal toward that by saying, "You would think being buried alive would humble you, but apparently it made you more arrogant than you've ever been before, and if you plan on throwing me off the roof, you better make sure it finishes me off, because if I come back, I'm gonna make sure you get buried further than 6 feet deep." And not to mention would wear this cool pendant that reminds me of that Lucky Charm my sister saw on one of those Spanish shopping network channels where she said the coin was made from some form of demonic being, which I still think it was a pretty cool coin, but I don't think any form of demon or Dracula had anything to do with it, even though the person announcing it had a creepy voice and it was in a low tone and there was a whole bunch of smoke all over the place. But yeah, it was a pretty cool coin. I might get it. But before we do that, folks, the next thing to take place on Monday Night Raw would be none other than Drew McIntyre getting a message from Seth Rollins about his Money in the Bank match that he's gonna be in. And he would say that he's not trying to take away Drew McIntyre's dreams. He's not trying to take anything away from Drew McIntyre. He's just trying to save Drew McIntyre of the burden of the WWE Championship, because Drew McIntyre is not ready to be a leader, and he's not ready to shoulder the responsibility, the pain, and the sacrifice willing to become a leader. So he has to do this Sunday to save Drew McIntyre, proving how delusional he truly has become. But also with a purpose like that, hey, it also proves that he's willing to do anything to win in his own twisted way. Then Charlie Caruso would give another interview to Murphy, who would have a match later on the night against Drew McIntyre, and would say that he would join up with Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins seeked him out in his time of need to help him out, so he helped him out, and said that one day Murphy would one day surpass Seth Rollins, and would go on further by saying that he knows or thinks that Seth Rollins can beat Drew McIntyre, but he definitely knows that he can beat Drew McIntyre tonight, all while staring up at the sky with that faraway look in his eye that I got a feeling he's gonna have the same look by the main event's end for this evening, especially with that delusions of grandeur he just delivered. And after that will go down, folks, the next match to take place on Monday Night Raw would see none other than Shane Thorne and Brandon Vick going one-on-one against the Ballroom Blitzkrieg team of Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. And would we have a case of history repeating after that Ballroom Blitzkrieg-like tag team maneuvers from Cedric Alexander and Ricochet during this said match between the two? Well, unfortunately, due to a little pep talk from MVP prior to this match, I do believe it lit some form of fire underneath Thorne and Vic during this said match, because despite Ricochet hitting his high-flying, high-octane moves, including that combinational move we're gonna call the Speed Bullet, which was that neck-breaker, back-breaker combination that Ricochet and Cedric Alexander would pull off, Brendan Vick and Shane Thorne would come back during this match in the later goings of this said contest by pulling off not only a cannonball in the corner almost like Kevin Owens, but would also see Brendan Vick pulling off the nastiest big boot I've seen to date, hitting Cedric Alexander right out of his shoes, causing the team of Shane Thorne and Brandon Vick to get the better of the Ballroom Blitzkrieg during this match via pinfall. And not to mention breaking up that winning formula by neutralizing none other than Ricochet during this match to hit the big boot. Good job. Good job. And the next match to take place on Monday Night Raw would see the Viking Raiders going one-on-one against the Street Profits. Now, originally we thought that this was going to be for the Tag Team Championships, but apparently the titles were not on the line. So I guess that gave the Street Profits more of the reason to just taunt and celebrate prior to this match by saying that we're up and we want the smoke. And they would get more smoke than they could possibly handle, because despite them hitting a beautiful backdrop suplex combination during this match for near fall, the Viking Raiders would come back with a disgusting powerbomb splash combination for near fall, and would even be able to hit a beautiful tiger knee right to the corner of the Montez Ford during this said match. And when they tried to go for the Viking experience, Angelo Dawkins would be right there to stop the momentum of the move, enough for Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford to hit a double team back suplex to none other than Ivar during this contest. But unfortunately, despite them being able to lift one of the heaviest members of this said group of the Viking Raiders, it would not be enough to stop them after all, because after none other than Montez Ford would get lifted off of his feet and hit with a Viking experience like no other, his partner would be down on the ground taken out by Eric during this said contest, leaving the Viking Raiders to win this match in emphatic fashion via pinfall. And in a post-match interview would say to Charlie Caruso that they would be able to extinguish the smoke that the Street Profits would be looking for after this match. And I'm not sure if this is going to lead to a tag team championship match that will take place at Money in the Bank, but I really do hope that it does. because it definitely proves they deserve the shot because they beat the champions. If we're going by the old school rules. I don't know what they're going by now, but if we're going by old school rules, anybody who pins the champions gets a championship match. But hey, what do I know? And after that moment that took place between the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits, next thing you know on Monday Night Raw, you would see Charlotte Flair gracing us with her presence, not only talking about Io Shirai and the fact that she plans on making Io Shirai bow down to the Queen, but would get interrupted by, of all people, Liv Morgan, who would say that she would have a silver spoon in her mouth and the fact that she plans on being a champion in the near future, only for Charlotte to take offense to this, and it would lead to a one-on-one match between Charlotte Flair and Liv Morgan. And during this match, very impressive work by Liv Morgan, not only pulling off a beautiful crucifix head scissors, but also taking the champ down to a knee and even beating the Living Daylights flag tag out of her. But unfortunately for her, her winning formula would go up in smoke the second she would try to go for the Oblivion, and would only get countered directly into the figure 8 leg lock for Charlotte Flair to win this match via submission. And I think, in my opinion, I would have loved to see Liv Morgan win, but hey, Charlotte Flair, being a 12-time champion, being able to scout out the weakness of one Liv Morgan and take advantage of it, just like she thinks she's gonna do to Io Shirai this Wednesday on NXT, which will also see the debut of one Killer Cross on that very program. So I got a feeling we may do a report on that in the future too. But before we jump ahead of what we're planning on doing for this week, folks, the main event of the evening would see none other than the Chosen One, the Scottish Terminator, and the WWE Champion himself, Drew McIntyre, going one-on-one against Buddy Murphy. Or Murphy, because, you know, they keep calling him Murphy instead of Buddy Murphy because they shortened his thing. But I digress, because during this match, action will go back and forth, including Murphy being able to reverse a Celtic cross from the top rope into a sunset flip sit-out powerbomb after Drew McIntyre on the outside of the ring would not only boot him in the face, but also take him pillar to post by slamming him back first into the barricade and also into the apron, basically trying to kill him, or terminate him in this case. But this match will come to an emphatic end when Drew McIntyre would see Buddy Murphy counting down for a Claymore kick to the approval of Seth Rollins, only to count down his own doomsday with a Claymore kick from Drew McIntyre from out of nowhere, for Buddy Murphy to get pinned in the center of the ring and lose this match, despite him saying that he was gonna beat Drew McIntyre earlier tonight via pinfall. And after the match was over, Seth Rollins would come down to the ring despite him having his arms crossed, not looking at the match, almost reminding me of Fox during one of his celebrations in Super Smash Brothers, would then super kick Drew McIntyre in the face and would say, "This is bigger than me, this is bigger than you, this is bigger than the WWE Championship, I'm doing this for you." And before he can go any further into his delusions of grandeur, would see an opportunity to hit Drew McIntyre with another blackout like he did about 3 weeks ago, only for Drew McIntyre to get up and then plan on hitting him in the face with a Claymore kick, only for Seth Rollins to go back up the ramp with Murphy, defeated, and wondering to everyone who's gonna win the championship match that's gonna take place this Sunday at Money in the Bank, to close out Monday Night Raw for this week. And if you're wondering at home, folks, we are going to do a match card review for Money in the Bank this Friday on Music Village, which should be very interesting because we almost forgot to mention that they're gonna have both men and women's Money in the Bank ladder match going off at the same time, Double Dare style, with all of them going up to the top floor, racing up to the top, which once again makes me wonder, why isn't Mark Summers there to say, on your mark, good set, go! And you have them have the Double Dare music as they fight their way 10 stories up to the roof of WWE headquarters. It should be a very interesting match is all I'm gonna say about it. But besides all of that, folks, I think it's time for us to go grab a glass of water, and when we return, we'll be back with more of the street-like shenanigans of the Tuesday Night Special right after this. So don't fall asleep just yet, folks, and stay tuned.